The Yonko from One Piece are all based on real people. And so is Yamato. Also, I'm talking about all of the Yonko, the old guard and the new generation, all of the emperors of the sea, all of them are based on real people. Shanks is based on Alexander the Great. Kaido is based on Genghis Khan. Big Mom is based on Napoleon Bonaparte. And Luffy and Blackbeard are both based on the real pirate Blackbeard from the early 18th century. Also, please do note that I just gave you all of the answers without saying, and if you want to know who they're based on, then you have to watch until the end and make sure you subscribe. No, none of that. I'm not that guy. I'm not that desperate. But if you do turn off now, you'll never know that Whitebeard is based on Julius Caesar. Damn it. Seriously though, this isn't TikTok. We're not just here for random headline facts without substance. 999. We're on YouTube and we want to learn here on YouTube. So let's start with the most obvious of all the real life One Piece inspirations. Kaido, based on Genghis Khan, and his daughter Yamato, based on Genghis Khan's great-granddaughter Hutulun. The inspiration starts with Genghis Khan's and Kaido's sexy facial hair. But beyond the timeless Fu Manchu, Kaido and Genghis Khan also share a love for ancient Mongolian fashion. In fact, all of the Kaido pirates kind of dress like Mongol warriors. If Mongol warriors had actually dressed like every TV show, anime, and movie thinks they're dressed, I'm looking at you, Game of Thrones. Yeah, the Mongols actually had armor, and Genghis Khan and his people didn't build one of the largest empires in the world riding on horses half naked like some Kanye West music video.
Honey.
But even without half-naked horse riding, Genghis Khan managed to impregnate so many women in his time that it is said that 16 million men today hold some of his DNA. And who knows, maybe you're one of them, maybe I'm one of them. In fact, I can't believe I caught that on camera. That's cool. All right, let me do like a snap, and then it's like, thank you, My Heritage, for sponsoring this video. Let me do another snap. So the thing is, right, that, this was a smooth transition, by the way, and the sponsor of this video is actually My Heritage. And My Heritage, I'm gonna explain later, but they do DNA tests, and it's like, I'm gonna find out who my ancestors are. Hold on. But now I'm just gonna do another, once I snap my fingers, I'll have the results. All right, guys, so I'm just gonna take you live into me opening my results. I sent the kit to My Heritage, and then they send you back an email. And by the way, My Heritage is a leading global family history and DNA service, and they just sent me this email. I'm gonna open this up, just see what happens. Okay, that's cool. Amadou, are you ready to explore your ethnicity? Yes, I am. Let's do this. Amadou, we got God, we got that big sound. We got the whole thing going. I'm even reading 56% North and West European. All right, I'm gonna turn off the music. Oh, you said African? No, they went with the African sound too. Before I'm half German, half Cameroon. My mom is from Germany, my dad is from Cameroon. So what's this saying? 34% Nigerian? Hold up, that's crazy because my dad is from Cameroon, so he must have some Nigerian in him. And look at this, 900 DNA matches and over 90 pages of DNA matches. That's crazy. That's a lot to get into. I love it. Just so you know, My Heritage has an offer right now. So if you click the link in the description, or you scan the QR code right here, you can take advantage of that offer and then take advantage of my coupon code, BRIEFED. Use that so you get free shipping, and then you too can get your DNA and see what parts of the world are in you with the cool music and the cool graphic. And maybe you can find out if there's some Genghis Khan in you. I apparently don't, but One Piece, though, 100% has Genghis Khan's DNA all over it. Eiichiro Oda even adapted the Mongol philosophy of a meritocracy that Genghis Khan established while he led the Mongols from 1206 to 1227. And meritocracy means that it didn't matter who you were at birth, it didn't matter who you knew, it only mattered what you were able to, what your actual merit was. If you were capable enough, and specifically in this warrior-based civilization, if you were strong enough, you could rise to the top, you could challenge anything and anyone. And in One Piece, within the Kaido pirates, we see this exact concept of challenging anyone for their position too. But there's more. Genghis Khan's grandson was named Kaido Khan. So no doubts where the name for the Yonko Kaido came from. And Kaido Khan had a daughter named Hutulun. That's relevant because there's one particular man who just so happened to have met and written about both Kaido Khan and Hutulun. You might have heard of him. He goes by Marco Polo. And in his little diary, he describes Hutulun like this. Hutulun was so well made in all her limbs and so tall and strongly built that she might almost be taken for a giantess, and that she was so strong that there was no young man in the whole kingdom who could overcome her, but she vanquished them all. Now, I don't know about you, but if I were a writer in the 13th century, that's literally how I would describe Yamato. But that's not even it. There's more. That's not all. Marco Polo had a lot more to say about Hutulun. He actually had quite the amazing tales to tell about her, but they seem slightly exaggerated, so pinches of salt, please. He wrote that Hutulun was an indomitable warrior and that, in fact, she was her father, Kaido Khan's greatest and most trusted warrior, greatest archer, greatest swordswoman, all while being so hot that everybody wanted to put a ring on it. And by everybody, I mean 10,000 men. So obviously, Hutulun's natural response was, sure, you can marry me if you beat me in wrestling, and if not, you owe me a horse. And so Hutulun ended up with 10,000 horses. Because no one ever beat her, no one married her, and Kaido Khan wanted her to be his successor, actually, his daughter, instead of his 14 sons. Yeah, surprise. The Mongol culture was surprisingly progressive when it came to the rights of women. Well, Mongol women, all other women, they just murdered and abused for fun. But if you're now saying, I don't care about all these similarities, Hutulun can't be Yamato's inspiration because Yamato does not identify as a woman, and I don't accept that this fictional One Piece character was inspired by the wrong pronoun, then rest at ease, my pronoun-sensitive boy/girl/unidentified them. The name Yamato actually comes from the mythological Japanese prince from the 1st century named Yamato, who famously once killed a bunch of people by pretending to be a woman. And then he actually kept killing his way to attain the legendary sword Kusanagi, aka the grass cutter, aka the sword that the Japanese god Susanoo once wielded, aka the sword that Sasuke uses in Naruto, aka there's so much mythology and history and anime in this tale that I have to cut it off here because this video is focused on history and One Piece. But if you want the mythology inspirations for One Piece, that's a different video that you can beg for, ask for in the comments. This isn't even everything I have on Kaido and the Mongols. Even the whole dragon/dinosaur/mythical beast thing that the Kaido pirates have a fetish for, even that is based on the writings of Marco Polo. On his travels, the man wrote this in his little diary about his time in the land of the Khan. Here are found snakes and huge serpents, 10 paces in length and 10 spans in girth. That's 50 feet long and 100 inches girth, by the way, guys. But who am I talking to? You know that.
You know what I'm saying, see? Yeah.
At the forepart, near the head, they have 2 short legs, each with 3 claws, as well as eyes larger than a loaf and very glaring. The jaws are wide enough to swallow a man. The teeth are large and sharp. Their whole appearance is so formidable that neither man nor any kind of animal can approach them without terror. As you can tell, the man loved to exaggerate and probably was on some really good drugs because last I checked the dinosaurs were extinct 65 million years ago, but who knows what he saw? I mean, Marco Polo was from the 13th century, so it could be that he saw some giant lizard for the first time, Komodo dragons, that they live in Mongolia. I don't know, maybe at the time. Whatever lizard thing it was, he thought they were pulling people's wagons, which now obviously didn't happen like he wrote. And please, I don't want conspiracy theories in the comments about how his writings reveal some kind of truth that dinosaurs secretly existed in the Mongol Empire, but the government is lying to us, because that's ridiculous, and I actually want to save that for a clickbait video when times are rough. The point is that wrote what he wrote, and One Piece adapted his crazy 50 feet snake report too for the Kaido pirates. So all in all, Kaido, inspired by Genghis Khan and the Mongols, confirmed. Case closed, no discussion. The inspiration for Whitebeard is a little less obvious, unless you're as dedicated as I am and pour hours upon hours of research into uncovering the truth. Yeah, touch me. Whitebeard draws clear inspiration from Julius Caesar, and that's not just because Julius Caesar is usually depicted as the oldest of the great conquerors, like Whitebeard, and it's not just because Julius Caesar was the most famous of the conquerors, like Whitebeard, or even because Julius Caesar ruled over the most powerful empire, like Whitebeard. Nah, it's none of that. It's mostly because both Julius Caesar and Whitebeard were fatally betrayed by their adopted sons. Well, Julius Caesar wasn't really Brutus's dad, but he did bang Brutus's mom for years, so by street law that makes Brutus his son. You get me, bruv. Jokes aside, Brutus and Julius Caesar were very close friends, and their relationship definitely had son and father vibes, with Caesar feeling responsible for the younger Brutus. So the adopted son analogy really applies. Whitebeard and Caesar were in fact both betrayed and led to their death by their adopted sons while they were suffering from illness. You already know that in the years before his death, Whitebeard was so sick he needed a bunch of half-naked nurses to treat him 24/7. Well, Caesar famously suffered from something too. We just famously don't know what exactly he suffered from, but experts have agreed that epilepsy seems to be a solid guess. So in both Julius Caesar and Whitebeard, you have this great, powerful man, a former man of war, who is now the sickly leader of the most powerful army in the world, and in both cases, he's considered to be on the wrong side of the law. Yeah, even though people remember Julius Caesar as an emperor now, which completely wrong, by the way, he never was an emperor. Caesar was actually never elected to be in charge of Rome. Julius Caesar just took over Rome. He took the Republic, which had systems and elected delegates and senates and consuls. Julius Caesar took all that and said,
"Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now."
And ever since, there was only one man in charge of Rome. So for any true Roman Republican, Caesar was a threat to the order. I mean, he virtually ended the existing order, so more than a threat, more the executioner of the existing order. Caesar was a dictator and literally named himself Dictator Perpetuo, dictator for life. And so by any law that existed in the Roman Republic, Caesar was on the wrong side of it. He was breaking all of them. On paper, Julius Caesar was the bad guy, but the people of Rome, the masses, they loved and celebrated Caesar, as does history. So the parallel of the official government at the time rightfully considering this great beloved conqueror to be a criminal, that is very reminiscent of popular conqueror, good guy, pirate, Whitebeard being a criminal and the bad guys within the eyes of the law in One Piece. Oh, and as for the assassination itself and how it came about, more parallels. Whitebeard's adopted son, Squad, was seduced by the government to turn on his father and help them end his reign. Caesar's street law son, Brutus, was seduced by the government, aka the Senate, aka the Republicans, to turn on Caesar and help them end his reign. They convinced him that Julius Caesar had to die for the Republic to live and for order to continue, or else Rome will fall into the hands of dictators and self-proclaimed emperors. I mean, they weren't entirely wrong about that. So Brutus, the man that Caesar trusted like family, abused that trust by leading Caesar into the Senate to attend a fake meeting where instead Caesar was attacked by 60 people who stabbed him a total of 23 times, with Brutus delivering the final blow to kill Julius Caesar on March 15, 44 BCE. To be fair, Caesar was not stabbed 267 times like Whitebeard, but still, I'll take the excessive stabbing death as a similarity, and as if all that wasn't enough. Just like how Whitebeard stood tall in death and made it a point to show his back unscathed and die with dignity, it is said that Caesar used his last strength to cover his face so none see the expression of terror, pain, and sorrow on his face. So Whitebeard, inspired by Julius Caesar, confirmed, case closed, no discussion. Yo, before I move on to the next one, I do need to point out that I'm obviously simplifying some aspects of these great historical figures, because if I were to go into detail on all of them, this video would end up being 2 hours, 27 minutes and 20 seconds long, and I know that precisely because I already did that video. All history, no One Piece, all Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan, Napoleon Bonaparte, Alexander the Great, also available as individual episodes. So that's that. Next up, Shanks and Alexander the Great are connected both in personality and in spirit, and in how we perceive them. Think about it, all these conquerors throughout history are bad people. Kaiser, Genghis Khan, Napoleon, the only difference is that one maybe killed millions and the other only killed hundreds of thousands. Big whoop. A killer is a killer. They all have major blood on their hands and are stone cold killers. Yet somehow we call Alexander the Great. An ancient nickname, yet we continue to use it to this day. And we continue to think of Alexander as this charming guy, always portrayed by really good looking people. So basically, I'm just waiting for that call to be cast as the next Alexander. What? They're making all the other historical people black now. Hannibal, Cleopatra, why stop the hair? Alexander could be me, I could make him black. Similarly, Shanks is portrayed as the one Yonko that always has a smile on his face and is somehow a good guy, even though you know the man's taken many lives. So that's one connection. Then Alexander and Shanks also share this. Yeah, surprise, you can't fool me, Shanks. I know you're drinking, but that's not really all that special because half of the One Piece characters are alcoholics, on steroids, or addicted to plastic surgery. So let me give you another one. Both Shanks and Alexander are the youngest of the bunch. Alexander was only 30 years old when his empire was at its biggest and one of the largest empires in human history, and Alexander the Young was only 32 when he died, which, I'm just saying, if I'm right about my historical inspirations here, then this doesn't look good for Shanks. Sorry. Shanks is also the one Yonko known to have this rather small, tight-knit crew of all friends who were all a little bit equal-ish, all great fighters in that. And while Alexander obviously didn't conquer the world anime style with less than 20 men, he did have these friends in an elite troop called the Companions, which literally that could be straight out of an anime. And they were this band of special warriors that are all buddies and ride into battle alongside Alexander the fighter, who, by the way, famously rode on a horse he tamed as a 10-year-old when no adult could tame it. And so Alexander named the horse Bucephalus, and he rode it into battle until he and the horse were 30. And this guy is basically a real-life shonen anime character. But he did also have a real-life liver, and the man who loved drinking so much that he once held a contest just to watch people drink, a contest where all 43 contestants died of alcohol poisoning. That man, Alexander the Drunk, was said to have died because his alcohol was poisoned. And again, if that ends up being true for Shanks, you heard it here first. In any case, Shanks, inspired by Alexander the Great, confirmed, case closed, no discussion. Blackbeard and Luffy. This is the most obvious one, and the least obvious one at the same time somehow. Both Luffy and Blackbeard are based on the real pirate Blackbeard, who lived from 1680 to 1718 and whose real name was Edward Teach. So yeah, One Piece's Marshall D. Teach Blackbeard took both nickname and surname from this guy. Also, Blackbeard's darkness power comes directly from real-life Blackbeard. In real life, back in his days, real-life Blackbeard would frequently stick lit fuses in his beard and light them so that dark smoke would emerge from and around him, and he would use the darkness to his advantage, scaring his opponents and building a legacy of fear he rode all the way to becoming known as one of history's most vicious and most feared pirates. Real-life Blackbeard also generally carried 3 guns, just like One Piece Blackbeard, and real-life Blackbeard, just like One Piece Blackbeard, was also infamous and hella feared. The guy sacked ship after ship, murdered crew after crew, so many that he got so rich off of the spoils that he basically bought out the Bay of North Carolina to make it his home base. A very important bay for trading and trading routes at the time, and real-life Blackbeard made all the merchants passing through the bay pay a toll to him in order to be granted passage. And then he still sacked and killed them because this guy had no chill. He was as bad and nasty and greedy as it gets, just like One Piece Blackbeard. So Blackbeard is based on Blackbeard. That is probably the most obvious one. Confirmed, case closed, no discussion. Until the world reopened the discussion in early 2000, when Blackbeard's ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, was found in excavations, and new evidence from the ship made us question everything we know about Blackbeard. Like, everything. It turns out that the big bad Blackbeard, nightmare of children and murderer of all, was just a bluff. It was an image that Blackbeard created in order to be feared, because he knew to be feared means to be respected, and to be respected means power. It was genius marketing, and really only that. The recent excavation suggests that he, in reality, Blackbeard never tortured a prisoner, never killed a prisoner, and never even took any life at all, except for in his final battle where he killed to survive, but still died being shot 5 times like Tupac, and cut down 20 and then decapitated, just to make sure. Yeah, I mean, if you paint a picture of yourself as the devil, they're gonna kill you like the devil. But all this bad stuff, it was just a public image of an actually good-hearted pirate. And if that already sounds a bit like Luffy, yeah, you don't know nothing yet. Yeah, it does sound like Luffy already, but trust me, you don't know nothing yet. It gets better. Get this. The reports from these excavations state that an unusual amount of food remains were found on Blackbeard's ship. Boar remains, turkey remains, deer remains, and records that state that the food from the kitchen on Blackbeard's ship was better than the food in restaurants on the mainlands at the time, and that was because Blackbeard had hired a chef for his pirate crew, a French chef. And if that's not enough to make you see the parallels between real-life Blackbeard and Luffy, then how about this? The findings also suggest that Blackbeard and his crew freed slaves from all over, and that his pirate crew actually had a democracy. I mean, literally Luffy and the Strawhats. But whether these new findings are onto something or not, at the end of the day, in real life, Blackbeard's public image of a devil was the one that stuck. After real-life Blackbeard was killed and decapitated by law enforcement, his head was put on a stake outside of Chesapeake Bay for all to see, where the powerful image Blackbeard had built in his life sent an equally as powerful message in death. For all pirates had to ask themselves, if this is what they do to Blackbeard, why do we even bother with this pirate life? The legends and myth about the evil Blackbeard even went so far that a scary tale at the time was that Blackbeard's dead, headless body continues to ride a dark, dead horse, wandering the lands at night looking for his head to take it back to the underworld so that the devil and his friends can recognize him. But anyway, I rambled off on Blackbeard there because his life and the myths are actually super interesting. Maybe I should do a video on that. The point is, Luffy and the Strawhats, inspired by real-life Blackbeard and his crew, confirmed, case closed, no discussion. Next up, and admittedly, this one is kind of a big stretch. Some say that Big Mom draws inspiration from various historic women, but none of that really convinces me, to be honest. What I believe in is the unlikeliest of inspiration that is not reflected in her gender or even her character, but in all the names surrounding her. And that inspiration for Big Mom is Napoleon Bonaparte. First of all, Big Mom's whole crew and the whole theme around her and everyone's names is all French. So that's one thing. Most of all though, Big Mom's sword is named Napoleon, whatever you want to go with, Napoleon. AKA, the weapon she uses to fight is named Napoleon. And in one of those fights, Big Mom wielded Napoleon and faced Trafalgar Law and lost. Let me repeat that. Big Mom lost to Trafalgar the Law while wielding her sword Napoleon. Napoleon Bonaparte, the great conqueror, famously suffered two great losses in his career. One was the Battle of Trafalgar and the other was the Battle of Waterloo. Trafalgar and Waterloo. Trafalgar, Water, the Law. Oh, you see it, the names. Oh, and Trafalgar's design, by the way, is inspired by Valentino Rossi. Not a conqueror, just a cyclist, but still real life influence. And if that's not enough Napoleon and Big Mom for you, then there's probably some adult cosplay for that. But I have one more PG fact for you here. After Napoleon Bonaparte's days of greatness were over, he was exiled and sent to the island of Elba. Big Mom is from the island of Elbaf. I'm just saying, Big Mom inspired by Napoleon. Confirmed, case closed, no discussion. Oh, and if you thought I forgot about Buggy the Clown, I didn't forget about Buggy. He's just not based on a great historic person, which is kind of fitting considering the questionable legitimacy of his emperor title. So you could argue that even that has some kind of foundation. And there's so much more mythology that inspired One Piece and also other histories and mythologies that inspired Naruto. So if you want that, drop a comment and I might tell you about the demon from Japanese mythology that also inspired Kaido, or the mythological origins of the devil fruits, or the ninjutsu from Naruto that are actually real, or the two mythological figures that inspired Luffy, or there's also that pirate that inspired Zoro. So there's a lot more I can talk about, but for now I want to talk about my heritage. Thank you for sponsoring this video and thank you for helping me find out that I have 3% Jewish in me, 33% Nigerian and all these other parts of Africa. I mean, I knew I was from Cameroon, but this is just amazing to me and I love knowing that. So I'm truly happy that they sponsored this video. And if you want to know if you have some Genghis Khan in your family, then take advantage of the My Heritage promotion that they have going on right now, which gives you free shipping via the link in my description below. Because, I mean, I don't think I need to sell you on finding out your ancestry hundreds of years back. That's just really, really cool. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope I see you in the next one.